Bim! Guess what? We are live, and we are going to be doing some rather exciting looking at the news. Now, the news itself is always pretty. Oh, I'm online, who knew? It's always pretty not good. But the good news is that there is some fun stuff at the end, although events in the last few hours have also put a downer on things, but sadly that is where we are with the world's news today. Big shout out to T, Calderdale Topgat, and Angela, and everyone else. Don't forget you can join in the chat if you wish. I don't always see the chat because other things come up on the screen once I get underway. So, we're going to be looking at the main news. I'm going to give my opinion on it, and then we're going to look at the rest of the news of the week, and then we're going to have a look at some lighter stuff that's occurred, either recently or whatever, including memes and that kind of thing. So, in the words of me, shall we crack on? Yeah, okay then. So, this week's top story is Rachel Reeves. Yay! And the government, they found the magic money tree. Well, they must have found the magic money tree because they are throwing money at everything. Now, sadly, Labour do this a lot, and what usually happens is the country is made bankrupt by the end of their 5 years in office. It's happened as long as I've been alive with Labour governments. I'm not saying the Tories did much better last time, but let's be honest, at the end of the day, and I will let you know what I think of the spending that's gone on. I mean, where the money's coming from is beyond me, but no doubt we'll find about that in the budget, which isn't till autumn. So you can basically say what you're going to spend money on. You are going to have a look. I'm just trying to get this set up. It's not actually working, which is not good. Just bear with us. There we go. There we go. Right then. So, what we've got is we've got Rachel Reeves in the House of Commons giving her speech. However, things had kind of kicked off before then. So, we already had on Sunday the 8th the children being at the forefront of Rachel's mind. Keys too, I guess. Money is going to be made available for more free meals and lots of other things, including schools and stuff, because that's what's going to happen. Take care, Calderdale as well. The 9th, Monday, a U-turn. Labour go back on the winter fuel payments scrapping that they were doing. They are now going to pay some people some of the money that they stole from them, but doesn't really work. As I wrote in the paper, right in the Wigan Observer, which you can see on Wigan Today on Facebook and on Wigan Today's website, it doesn't work because, well, nothing works, does it, that they do? If you were claiming pension credits, I have to get this right, if you were claiming pension credits, you were still entitled to the £300. So if you were, genuinely unable to work and therefore unable to contribute and all that kind of stuff, then I have no issue with this whatsoever. You get looked after, you get a little bit of extra money every week, and you also get things like the £300 bill and everything else. Not bill, the £300 payment. However, if you'd worked all your life and paid into a pension pot, and that pension pot took you over the minimum, then you got no winter fuel allowance. You have to pay for all your bills, and you have to pay for all the stuff that's going on, and because you worked. However, if you're a lazy get who never worked because you couldn't be arsed, you still get pension credit, and you still get all the free stuff. So none of this made sense. I mean, they kept saying, oh well, Lord Sugar doesn't need the money. Well, no, obviously not. And they kept rolling out poor old Elton John. I mean, don't know what he's done to upset the government, but he kept being rolled. Elton John doesn't need the money. Yeah. Anyway, they've now decided that maybe they were a bit hasty with their decision to, basically screw over the majority of pensioners. So they've done a U-turn, but only 9 million people will do it. Problem is, they encourage people who weren't on pension credit to get pension credit, and they're now going to get back the 300 quid because they're on pension credit. But they would have got it back if they hadn't got on pension credit. So it's actually costing the government more money now to pay the pension credit to the people who they're now going to give the winter allowance back to. It's very complicated. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. As well as the cost of administrating and checking whether or not these individuals are entitled to pension credit. The whole thing is a complete and utter cluster mess, but I mean, we're used to that. Hi, Angela. Tuesday the 10th, the government pledge new era of nuclear power. I wrote in here about in time. It's going to add £1 a month on bills. And I'm like, yep, bring that on. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. We're getting nuclear power. I don't care. The problem I've had, and I've always had, and you can go back as long as you want when I've been talking about this on YouTube, not just on news programmes, but just generally around. Wind turbines only work when it's windy. Solar panels only work when it's sunny. We're in England. We don't get either of them permanently. So there would be times where there'd be no power being produced. So say, for example, a night where there's no wind and it's night. Kind of see where I'm going with that, don't you? Anyway, nuclear power. It's there whenever you need it. So, the big day was Thursday the 12th. No, it wasn't. It was, sorry, Wednesday the 11th was the big day. Rachel Reeves, from Accounts, decided to give her full spending review. And here it is. Not even joking. This is from the government website. I will rattle through these. But Rachel Reeves announced a 29 billion funding boost for the NHS to get it back on its feet and fit for the future. Now, the problem I have with this is throwing money at the NHS obviously doesn't work because the Tories left the NHS with more money going in than's ever gone in before. The problem is you've got too many chiefs, managers, and not enough Indians, nurses and doctors. And what you need to do is get more people on the front line and get that sorted, and then the NHS will work better for everyone. However, the new investment includes up to 10 billion on technology and digital transformation, which is great, unless of course we're being hacked by, I don't know, Russia or China, who decide to completely destroy our NHS by hacking everything that's online, which would be everything if we go digital. A GP training to deliver millions more appointments and rolling out mental health support to all schools. And Reeves also said there is no strong economy without a strong NHS. There's no strong economy with a Labour government. Security. The Chancellor confirmed 11 billion real terms increase in defence spending over the spending review period, 10 years. So it's £11 billion over 10 years. Backing our armed forces, creating British jobs in British industries and prioritising security of Britain when it is most needed. It's most needed online. World War III will be fought online. World War III will be a cyber war. We will have attacks on our infrastructure, our energy infrastructure, our travel infrastructure, our health service infrastructure, our banking infrastructure. You hit all them, a country will fall in days. But, she carries on, today's funding will provide the Ministry of Defence with resources and capital necessary to start delivering the Strategic Defence Review, rebuilding the armed forces and investing heavily in UK intelligence capabilities. This includes 15 billion for a nuclear sovereign warhead programme. So we're building more nuclear warheads. They'd be much better in power stations powering our country, but never mind. Supporting over 9,000 jobs in the UK. £7 billion of infrastructure funding for a once-in-a-generation renewal of military accommodation. So they're going to spend £7 billion on, well, blocks of apartments for soldiers, and £6 billion for munitions. And we're going to get over 1,000 jobs for that. Basically, what we did in the Cold War, we shut down all our munitions factories that made bullets and rockets and all that kind of. Shut them all down. We don't need them anymore. So yeah, there you go. Oh, we got. Yeah. So yeah, it's absolute nonsense that's going on. Thanks, Angela. Hydro your frequency. Um, it's not going to do that. That's not what we need. We need our online stuff looking after more than anything else. Carries on. At least 280 million a year will also be invested into border security by 2028-29, including the Border Security Command to tackle people smuggling gangs running small boats. Funding at least 400 million a year by 28-29 will speed the process of asylum processing. This is 3 years off. Increase appeals capacity and continue asylum returns alongside ending the costly use of hotels for accommodation. So she reckons she'll be able to stop using hotels by 2029. I mean, what is the absolute point? Police spending power will see an average 2.3% real terms increase over the spending review period, 10 years, as the government puts police back on the beat in communities across England and Wales, supporting the government's plan for change. The commitment to put an additional 13,000 police officers, PCSOs and special constables into neighbourhood roles. Right, so let's say, for example, they get 13,000 new feet. Well, it'd be 26,000 feet, wouldn't it? Because most people have two. On the ground. How many of them are actually going to be police officers? I imagine the majority of them are going to be PCSOs and special constables. Nice as that is, they haven't got the powers that a police officer has, and with rising crime rates and all the other stuff going on, we really need actual police officers who can actually do something. So if it's 13,000 police officers, I'd be like, yeah, okay, go for it. However, if you remember the Tory government, they promised, was it 18 or 20,000, and only managed to get 5 or 6,000 new people on board. So I don't think that's going to work. I mean, obviously it's not. It's Rachel Reeves, isn't it? The Chancellor announced 15.6 billion funding in total by 2031-32 for local transport projects in England's city regions, and 2.3 billion for 26-27 to 29-30 for local transport improvements outside of these 9 regions, improving everyday journeys for all. The Chancellor announced a further 2.5 billion to connect Oxford and Cambridge through the continued delivery of East-West Rail, and confirmed she will set out plans to take forward work on Northern Powerhouse Rail in the coming weeks. So we wait with bated breath. I don't use public transport a lot, but I know people who do, and it is apparently abysmal. She also confirmed the biggest boost to social and affordable housing in a generation, confirming £39 billion of investment over 10 years through a new affordable home programme, turbocharging the plan for change commitment to get the country building and deliver the 1.5 million homes Britain needs. Of course, we need builders who can build 1.5 million homes, but yeah, let's not worry about that. Apparently, this significant settlement represents the first time in living memory that the government has set out a programme that provides 10 years of certainty, giving the sector the confidence to deliver for now and for the future of housing in Britain, and turn the tide on the housing crisis in this country. Now, there's two things we can do to turn the tide on housing crisis in this country. One of which is, hang on, oh no, it's telling me it's thunderstorms in Wigan. Yeah, right, okay. There's no thunderstorms in Wigan. What you want about? So yeah, a significant settlement represents the first time, blah blah blah, to reduce housing crisis in Britain. What you need to do to reduce the housing crisis in Britain is stop migration in the numbers it currently is. That will help a lot. Also, stop people buying lots and lots of houses and renting them out for stupid amounts, because that just puts the prices up. If you're going to do this, build what we used to call council houses, now social housing, where it's more affordable and it's owned by the council government and rented out to people who deserve it, people who grew up in an area, for example, particularly where prices are extremely expensive. So I'm thinking places like Cumbria or the Norfolk or Kent or Cornwall or anything like that, because that's what there's a building firm in Denmark. It's called Lego. Yeah, very good, very good. They won't be inviting them over because plastics. God, we can't have plastics. God, Ed Miliband would have a cardiac. But no, that's what we need to do, and make sure that, like I say, it's the people who deserve the houses who get them. Today's spending review, which was yesterday, also supports the development of homegrown clean power to deliver energy security by committing 14.2 billion for Britain's first state-funded nuclear power station since 1988 in Sizewell C, providing over 2.5 billion for one of Europe's first small modular reactor programmes and allocating 9.4 billion to the UK carbon capture and storage over the spending review period, 10 years, so it's less than a billion. All while supporting Britain's acceleration to net zero and driving growth, which is absolute bullshit. What we need to do is sort out the nuclear power stations first, which will then take us directly to net zero, and also redevelop or actually get serious about hydrogen energy for cars. None of this battery-powered wokeness that's currently going on. And then we've got the devolved governments, and this is weird. The Scottish Government will receive an average extra 2.9 billion across the duration of this spending review through the operation of the Barnett formula, no idea. In recognition of Scotland's unique needs, they'll also have 20% more to spend per individual than comparable UK government spending for people in the rest of the UK. So basically, Labour are trying to buy the Scottish people back, but 2.9 billion over 10 years. Don't forget, if the Tories get back in again in 4 years, or Reform UK get in, all this will be scrapped anyway. The Welsh Government will benefit from an extra 1.6 billion, not as many people live in Wales to be fair, over the spending review period, Barnett formula again, and 20% more to spend per individual than comparable UK government does for people in the rest of the UK. Well, hang on a minute, you've just said that about Scotland. The Northern Ireland Executive will receive an average of 1.2 billion, again less people live there, through the Barnett formula. 24% more to spend per person than comparable UK government spending in the rest of the UK. Well, hang on a minute. This is reflecting Northern Ireland's unique writing circumstances. Oh, sorry, more about that later. So, Scotland's going to be 20% more than, say, spent on me. And also 20% more that's spent on Wales and Northern Ireland, because that's the UK. But Wales is going to get 20% more than what is spent on me per person, and 20%. So I think it proves that Rachel is not from accounts, because that makes no sense. I mean, extra money is always a good thing, we have to admit that, but yeah, they haven't got a freaking clue, have they? And that's what's worrying about the whole thing. They just don't know what they are doing. As we will find out very soon with some interesting results that have just come in. Chat room's gone very quiet. Let's have a look, see if there's anything going on. Oh no, we're okay. We're okay at the minute. So, what's been happening in the news this week other than Rachel Reeves and the government spending all this money from the magic money tree? It's very exciting. LONE, I'm okay, hope you're good as well. Drew Frequency, Angela T, Calderdale, Top Cat. So, the rest of the news for this week. The 6th of June, which was a Friday. Trump says Musk has lost his mind. Well, Trump should know about people losing their mind, shouldn't he? The Hamilton, Larkhill and Stonehouse by-election result was in. Labour managed to hang on with 31.6% of the votes. The SNP 29.4% of the votes. And the referendum party from nowhere, bear in mind this is Scotland, 26.1%, so come third. The Tories down on 6%. But if you look at 32, 29, so that's 62, and 26, so that's 78, 88% went to three parties. Then Conservatives did okay, getting 6%. Yeah, right. Three changes with attacks on Keir Starmer's former... What? Three changes with attacks on Keir Starmer's former priorities. Priorities? I don't know. Ignore that. Didn't happen. Saturday the 7th. Z Youssef returns to the reformation. He reforms in Reform UK, and he was mistaken to leave due to exhaustion. I was exhausted. But he's not coming back as chairman. That has been taken by an ex-TV presenter. More shootings at the USA site in Gaza. 6 people sadly dead. Musk deletes the tweet mentioning and linking Trump with Epstein, but we'll have a look at it later on. Kharkiv hit by more missiles, more people dead, many injured. That's in Kyiv. Sunday the 8th, Trump sends the National Guard to LA over protests, which have been turning into kind of riots. Not the riots we had, a decade ago or whatever, but certainly there's a lot of ill feeling in America at the moment. More deaths by the IDF, Israeli Defence Force, at aid sites. And Greta Thunberg, don't worry, Greta Thunberg is on her way to see them all on a boat, because she doesn't use airplanes. Well, she does now. More of that later. 9th of June, which is a Monday. The governor of California says that Trump has no right to send in troops and the National Guard. Trump hinted that the governor should be arrested because he's rubbish at his job. Meanwhile, an Australian 9 News female reporter was aimed at and shot at by a police officer with a rubber bullet, which was, you've probably seen the video on social media. Literally just takes aim and shoots the back of her leg with a rubber bullet. And these things are meant to be sent a long way. And that was very, very close indeed. She was lucky she wasn't seriously injured. She managed to hobble on and carry doing a broadcast. But yeah. But the Marines are on the way. So everything's good. Frederick Forsyth has died, aged 86. He was a famous novelist and possibly secret agent for the British government, or the Russian government, or any government, to be fair, would pay the most. He was most famous for writing novels, political novels, and espionage novels, including Day of the Jackal, which the original version with Edward Fox was, when I was a youngster, one of my favourite films. I thought it was really, really good. That's because it was. Prisoner swap in Ukraine and Russia. They decided to swap all the prisoners they have who are under the age of 25, so they can just go straight back out and start fighting again. Tuesday the 10th. Starmer sanctions 2 far-right Israeli ministers, basically for inciting violence in the West Bank. These 2 Israeli ministers, far-right, have basically said to people who live in the West Bank, Israelis, that it's okay to go and kill and burn down houses of the people who actually legally live there. The US criticised, but other countries actually did the same as well. Meanwhile, in Ballamore, what's the story? Ballamore, yeah. I need a little time to riot. So, sorry, Ballymena. They have the second day of civil disturbance. Riots. Water cannon deployed and dogs as well. They are described by the government and the local police as racist thugs. Now, the inner story of Ballymena, I always get the two confused. It's quite close to the Irish border with Southern Ireland, and with free travel throughout Europe, they found that people are travelling into Southern Ireland who may not legally be able to do so, realising that Northern Ireland is part of the UK, so then getting into Northern Ireland, just crossing the border, and then staying in these towns. Now, allegedly, there were two people of non-UK heritage who were being questioned or been accused of possible sexual crimes against local people, and that's what triggered this off. The local people apparently are fed up of people who are not local coming in and just breaking the law and just generally messing things up. But again, we'll have to wait and see what actually comes out in the wash. Meanwhile, there was a school shooting in Austria, 11 dead, including the shooter. Who was a 21-year-old former pupil there, although he didn't not qualify. What's the word? Not qualify. Graduate. Didn't graduate. Meanwhile, some good news. Thank God for that. Billy Boston, 91, is knighted, and he's the first rugby league player ever to be knighted. Billy Boston was born in Wales, and because he's a black gentleman, he wanted to play for Wales, but the Welsh at the time, because obviously you're talking about the 60s here, didn't want a black person in their team, so he moved to Wigan, started playing Wigan rugby, and then got on the England rugby team and had an incredibly successful career. In fact, there's a statue of him in Wigan, and obviously now he's a Knight of the Realm, and well deserved as well. Meanwhile, Wednesday the 11th, more violence in Northern Ireland, including a leisure centre in Larne being set on fire. Apparently that's where they moved some people who were escaping Ballymena, who were escaping. They put them up in this leisure centre, and yeah, it got attacked. Brilliant. Some ill children get out of Gaza to Jordan for urgent medical help, many of whom are also ill, but also near, skeletal. It's just unbelievable the scenes are going on there. Trump says many US citizens will evacuate from Kuwait, Bahrain and Iraq. So does that mean we're going to go to war with Kuwait, Bahrain and Iraq? Because if we do, we need to get the Grand Prix races in Kuwait and Bahrain over and done with quick. Although I think we've done one of them already, haven't we? The Bahrain. We might have done the Kuwait one as well, I don't know. Anyway, another death. Brian Wilson died, aged 82. He's of the Beach Boys. Good vibrations. Ooby doopy. Also a statue of Billy Boston in Cardiff and Wembley. Stephen O'Neill. Thank you for that information. I didn't know, because I've not been to Cardiff and I've not been to Wembley since it was the old Wembley. So yeah, appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you. Angela Rayner, sorry. Sorry, a bit sick then. Is to abolish the 200-year-old criminalising rough sleeping. Now this basically means that if you're sleeping rough, so you're sleeping in a doorway of a shop in a city centre or a town or something, the police can ask you to move on because you're not legally entitled to stay there. If you've got a tent pitched up on a roundabout, for example, the police can, I'm not saying they do, but they can ask you to move on. Gypsies and travellers, they also get told to move on. But this law change would mean that those people don't have to do that. It would also mean that if they are going to get rid of these hotels by 2029, that with all the migrants are in, well, they can do that, and all the migrants can go rough sleeping, and it'll be other people's problems, not them. Big news, Pilly Piper she's not the next Doctor Who. And Lammy, our foreign secretary. Hang on. Sorry, it's a bit sick in my mouth again. Oof. Has basically given our borders of Gibraltar to the Spanish. Now, this is a bit like Northern Ireland with the soft border. So what he's done is, he's said, if you fly from the UK, so England, Scotland or Wales, and you fly directly to Gibraltar, when you land on the plane, you would be seen now by border patrols from Spain who are actually going to be working in Gibraltar. The idea of that is it frees up the border crossing between Gibraltar and Spain, which makes that more fluid. But again, we might end up with the same situation we've got in Northern Ireland with migrants thinking, well, hang on a minute, I don't have to cross the channel anymore now, I can just cross this border. So we'll have to wait and see what pans out. But it does seem like we're just giving stuff away. I mean, we haven't given Gibraltar away, but yeah, we might as well have done. Meanwhile, oh yeah, I was wondering what was going on there. I was like, well, what's going on? It's just people saying hello. Thursday the 12th of June, which is today. And tragedy in India. Air Indian plane crashes 169 on board. Oh no, sorry, 169 Indians, 1 Canadian, 7 Portuguese and 53 Britons were on board. It actually tragically crashed into it was lunchtime, and it crashed into a college full of medical students. So there's going to be plenty who've passed away on the ground as well. If you've seen the video, it's absolutely horrible. You see the plane taking off, it's CCTV, so it's not clear, but you see the plane taking off, as they do, they kind of go up like that. And then it just kind of goes down again. And it's very, 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 very strange. Indian authorities are saying they think it's a bird strike, but going off the footage that I've seen from the ground looking up as well, I don't really see any of that going on. So yeah, it's just not good at all. And my neighbour has just come back off holiday, and not from India, but they were on the plane for 3 hours before it took off. Basically, they had a problem with the fueling. They fueled the plane up whilst the passengers were on it, and they closed the lid thing, the cap thing, and it burst open and all the fuel spilled out everywhere. So then they had to get someone to crawl through the wings, to go inside the wings, to actually shut it from the inside, and then refuel the other wing. And this is the day that an aeroplane's crashed, taking off from an airport. And I'm like, I'd be getting off this aeroplane for final destination. Anyway, obviously they've arrived safely back to tell me the story, but the aeroplane was immediately flying back without any passengers on to the airport to get fixed. So yeah, horrible. But what's gone on in India? You can't imagine it. Can't imagine the horror. But apparently one British national has survived, a 40-year-old. C11A, apparently, if you read certain social media. So that's the seat you need to go for. But no, just absolutely horrible things. Aeroplane crashes. And this is the worst one, possibly, for about 10 years. Anyway, shall we move on to things that are less serious? Well, first one's Donald Trump. So you remember last week, Donald Trump banned people from travelling from certain countries into the United States of America, which is fine, he's allowed to do that. Problem is, one of the countries he banned people from travelling from no longer exists. I think I might have mentioned this last week, but it's definitely worth mentioning again. Oh, that's because we're on the wrong thing. Hang on a minute. There we go. Meanwhile, so a bit of fun. Morning incident report. Valve shut by sloth leads to facility shutdown. And the manager says, and you want me to believe you? And you reply, yeah, watch the CCTV. And there is a sloth hanging from the various metal, swinging, or I imagine trying to climb onto the massive wheel thing, like I don't know, it's more like a ship's wheel. But it would simply turn, so it would literally turn off the valve. Genius. Musk and Trump Elon Musk, time to drop the really big bomb. The real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. Yeah, since been deleted. They're as mad as each other. This bridge in Ireland couldn't open for ships for over 4 years because officials lost the remote control in an office move. I mean, seriously. Harrison Ford has been in talks to play Carl in live action Up. It's only a rumour though, but you can see the likeness, can't you? The weird thing is though, what is Disney's thing about doing these live actions? I mean, they've done two that have absolutely bombed. The Little Mermaid, who was, well, not necessarily looked like she'd been washed in Ariel, shall we say, whereas mermaids underwater would never see the sun, so that made no sense. And then, of course, Snow White, who wasn't. Both of which bombed live action. Stop it. Just come up with some new stuff. If you want to do stuff like that, let's make new characters. If you want to, go down routes where everyone feels included in a movie, create new characters, new stories, rather than just rehashing things and destroying it with your woke madness. This is quite apt because Robbie Williams has been playing in Manchester this week at the Co-op Arena. And here's a picture, Gary Barlow and Robbie Williams pictured here backstage at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester, on their 2011 Take That reunion tour. And of course, it's not them. It's PC Tinks and what's he called? Oh, he works in the garage. I can't remember his name. But him walking along, and in the background you've got the ginger one. I don't know his name. I don't really watch it that much. 8-year-old Lego fan receives new prosthetic arm featuring the beloved toy bricks. So he's a massive Lego fan, this young lad. A Lego-loving 8-year-old boy has had the bespoke prosthetic arm made for him containing the beloved toy bricks. Toby, who was born with a limb difference, has attended a personalised prosthetic centre in the UK since he was just 6 months old. So he's got this this arm, and it does look cool because it's made of Lego. Well, it's not made of Lego, but it does look like it's made of Lego. Throwback to when 200 farmers stayed silent at an auction, allowing a young man to reclaim his family farm. In 2011, David from Nebraska hoped to reclaim an 80-acre piece of his family's farm that had slipped into a distant relative's hands. At the auction, something extraordinary happened. Every other farmer remained silent. No one bid against him. It was quiet, yet a powerful show of rural solidarity, reminding us that in some communities, values like legacy and support matter more than profit. That's a message for Keir Starmer and his cronies. You'll never beat the farmers. Now, safety first, I always say, particularly if there's risk of injury. So in English, do not enter here, and the translation in Spanish, entero somewhere elseo. It's like, what the hell? Depeche Mode, one of my favourite bands. Even from the early stuff, like New Life, all the way through, Blasphemous Rumours probably my favourite. I don't want to start any blasphemous rumours, but I think that God's got a sixth sense of humour, 'cause when I die, I expect to find him laughing. So there you go. Depeche Mode and Erasure. Now, for those who don't know, Erasure were slightly different. They're on the right. They were a very camp pop group, duo. Really good songs as well, to be fair. It was more Depeche Mode, but I did like a lot of their stuff as well. But Vince Clarke was in Depeche Mode at the very beginning with the early album stuff, and then he left to form Yazoo, who had that hit Only You, which brought us Alison Moyet. He also had a hit with Assembly with Never Never, and then he formed Erasure, and to this day they still tour, as do Depeche Mode as well. So you got the dark side, which is Depeche Mode, and the lighter side, which is not. Virtual Banger Racing League. Farmers beat themselves when they sign up to capitalism. Uh, yeah, I know where you're coming from, but the way they've been treated by the government is disgraceful. When you lie in the application but still get the job, and there's a few emperor penguins, and in the middle of them is a black and white cat, not dissimilar to Silence, who's on their hind paws. It's obviously photoshopped, but yeah, we seem to get one of these a week at the minute. If you've got a cat, it's fair to say your phone will be full of images. So this is how much storage you need on a phone. If you are single, 256 gigabyte. If you're in a relationship, 540 gigabyte. If you have a cat, 28 terabytes. And I must admit, there's a lot of cat stuff on mine as well. Viva Mark, welcome as well. Trump might have an idea here. Donald Trump's executive order to undersea minerals has encouraged mining companies, but critics say it will damage the environment and struggle to make money. They're also on about mining asteroids as well, which I think we talked about last week. Now, the problem with mining asteroids is asteroids are in space, and in space there's no gravity. So if you've got a machine that's drilling into an asteroid, it's going to change the trajectory of the asteroid, isn't it? Because there's nothing to stop that impact of the drill that's trying to drill into that or peck into it or whatever from pushing the asteroid. So we could end up being greedy and destroying the planet by mining asteroids. Markets died, town centres died, local farmers died, the ones left are supermarkets farmers who went for the big contracts. Yeah, you're not wrong, VBRL. Absolutely. Supermarkets definitely have killed the high street to a degree. The thing that's killing it at the moment is the minimum wage going up, no help for employers, business rates doubling after the 50% business rate relief was removed, and they've not been looked at since the 1980s in most cases when things were booming. So that's what's shutting shops down at the minute. No live gaming any. I'm going through a phase where I cannot be arsed playing games. I do this. It lasts for about 3 or 4 months. I just can't be bothered with games at the moment. So now they'll come back again, and you'll be fed up. I'll probably be doing them every night soon, because that's what normally happens when I come back. But I'm off to Berlin anyway. Women in Berlin are allowed to swim topless in public pools, just like men. It establishes equal rights for all, it says. Suddenly I don't want to go to Germany anymore. This is weird. In 2019, hundreds of Las Vegas pigeons had tiny cowboy hats glued to their heads. The person who committed this crime was never caught. I mean, it's cruel. Hopefully it wasn't permanent glue. It was like glue that would fall off, after a few hours or a day or so, or if it rained. But they do look cool. First week working at the bicycle factory, and they've already made me the spokesperson. Think about it. This is genius as well. Thanks, T. Cat for sale. Still in its original packaging. Mint condition. And there's a cat there that is in one of the cardboard shaped inserts when you buy an electric device. That could have been a kettle or something similar. And it literally just completely fits in perfectly to the main depression within the. So it's like when you go buy eggs and you get that cardboard. It's like that kind of thing, but they put them in there instead of the foam they used to use. But yeah, brilliant. Love that. Really, really good. Joe Brand, laughter is the best medicine, though it tends not to work in the case of impotence. Think about it. I'm not a big fan of hers, but she does occasionally come up with something that I quite like. If you ever want to know the temperature, if you can hear a cricket chirping, then learn that they are consistent with the temperature. By counting the chirps in the span of 25 seconds, dividing by 3 and then adding 4, it will equal the temperature in Celsius. You know what? I'll just look at my phone and see what it says on that. count the chips in 25 seconds, divide it by 3 and then add 4. It's like one of them things, isn't it, where think of a number between 1 and 7. Right, times that number by 2, add 4, times it by 3, divide by 2, times by 0, add 5. The number you've got is 5. It's always Guinness, Mark. Alan's plans to leave Depeche Mode actually started in 1984. And there's Alan, who was a member of Depeche Mode. It's Depeche Mode night tonight, isn't it? He was on the piano. So next to him is the very camp one, I don't know his name, in Depeche Mode, just basically in a pair of budgie smugglers with a leather belt on, just kind of stood there, and you're like, yeah, I'm trying to create music here. Can you just off and do something else, please? Don't stand there and put me off. He did leave not long after, to be fair. He didn't actually. He left a lot later. In an alternate universe, would there be on Abbey Road a zebra crossing beetles? Well, there's the image that you never knew you wanted. To be fair, you still don't. Men who marry after 25 years of age tend to live longer than men who marry younger. A major survey of 127,545 American adults that found that married men are healthier than men who were never married or whose marriages ended in divorce or widowhood. Men who have marital partners also live longer than men without spouses. Men who marry after the age of 25 get more protection than those who tie the knot at a younger age, and the longer a man stays married, the greater his survival advantage over his unmarried peers. But is marriage itself responsible for better health and a longer life? No. Most people I know are married are not happy at all. And some of them end up with, one of them being in prison, that's what I'm saying. Psycho buzzard terrorising village is filmed breaking into people's homes. Residents in the village of Romford in East London have been living in fear for months after a buzzard began swooping down on residents at the end of March. And there's a guy there with a bloodied ear, a scar round a cut round his eye, down the side of his face and on the top of his head, who apparently has been attacked by a buzzard. Hi John Gibb, hope you're good. Meanwhile, a couple steal back their Jaguar from thieves after cops claim they're too busy. Mia Forbes-Pry and Mark Simpson from Brook Green, West London, became detectives in order to retrieve their stolen Jaguar, as the couple used an Apple AirTag to find it, and they stole it back again. Fair play. We'll talk about the high street, as we were. Poundland to shutter close hundreds of high street stores, with 500 more under threat. It has now been claimed that up to 200 stores could close before then, with hundreds more under threat, as well as Poundland's future looking increasingly more bleak by the week. Almost rhymes that, doesn't it? Bleak by the week. Can you imagine a worse nightclub than a Tesco club card nightclub? Tesco launches nightclub with exclusive guest list. Here's how you can get in. Promising nostalgia, acts and drinks you had long forgotten about, supermarket giants Tesco are launching a nightclub for just 2 nights with only a handful of people allowed in. Not Poundland trying to find... They keep claiming there's 1,500 items in each shop that are a pound. The problem is it's just 1,500 pairs of socks. More than 1,000 doctors write to MPs urging them to vote against assisted dying. Some high-profile doctors are among more than 1,000 who have written to MPs urging them not to pass a bill which will allow assisted dying under some circumstances. I completely agree with not allowing assisted dying. Disagree completely with the photograph picture. Because, yes, if you've got some horrendous, horrible illness, like MD, cancer or whatever, Parkinson's, dementia, you may want to end your life. The problem is, it starts there, but then it just kind of gets more and more and more lax, as what's happened in Canada. And you're depressed? Oh, take a pill. And we don't need that. It's going to be like Logan's Run. Look it up. 7 modern habits that could kill your sperm count, including Ozempic and vaping. And also, if you do too much self-pleasuring, that would affect your eyes apparently, make you blind, so you wouldn't be able to count any sperm whatsoever. So that could also kill your sperm count, and the fact you couldn't do it. If you vape, work out too much, or even use Ozempic, you might have experienced some issues with your sperm. Dr. Gareth Knight has shared 7 modern activities that would be killing off your swimmers. I mean, I don't do any of them. It doesn't really matter. The sock doesn't care. Man runs across Heathrow Airport tarmac as planes land and staff can't catch up. A man was spotted sprinting up and down the tarmac of Heathrow Airport as staff pursued the man on foot while planes landed in the background. Onlookers were left baffled by the bizarre scenes. They probably thought they were filming a movie or something, you know. Man running on airport tarmac. Movie. I don't know. Guinness. World's first Guinness milkshake launches in UK as some dub it an act of war. Guinness, a much loved tipple by the old and now the young. However, old, eh? What do you mean? Old. You call it old. However, it could be one for the ultra sweet tooth as a stout milkshake has arrived at 2 bars in the UK. That looks vile. I'll have my Guinness neat, please. Thank you very much. Breaking Bad style body dissolving technique could replace burial and cremation, apparently. People could soon be able to choose to be boiled and flushed down the drain, like in the hit TV series Breaking Bad. Never seen it. Instead of the traditional crematory mob burial under a new laws being considered. No, I think I'd sooner... I mean, I don't want to die, but if I did, I think I'd sooner be buried than burnt or boiled. Listen to the voice of Buddha, saying stop your sericulture. Yeah, Human League, very early. E.T. may be trying to save world by shutting down 30 nukes, including in Britain. Former US Air Force officer Robert Salas, who claimed to have seen UFOs disable 10 warheads at a base and said it was not an act of aggression but a signal to humanity. Don't blow up your planet. I think it's how aliens talk. Irony. George Orwell's 1984 is slapped with trigger warning in Thought Police irony. Orwell's dystopian novel featured a dictatorial leader supported by an intense cult of personality manufactured by the party's thought police and coined a number of phrases still used today. And now it's been given trigger warning because it might upset people because they might realise that what we're actually living in now is 1984. Madeleine McCann police find 2 buried guns in latest search for missing girl. Now, I did say when we talked about this last week, because last week the search ended, but the police and everyone seemed quite happy and they were smiling and patting each other on the back, which I said I had no idea whatsoever, no one did, that they must have come up with something that is positive in the search for Madeleine. But anyway, the firearms were reportedly found during a 3-day search of the 120-acre area in Lagos, Portugal last week. The guns have now been sent back to Germany for an analysis. And then another one. Madeleine McCann police find clothing and bones after probing dig samples. Evidence recovered from a search of an old farmhouse and surrounding lands a few miles from the Algarve resort of Para de Luz, where Madeleine vanished, has reportedly been sent for testing as well. So it's horrific, but if we can get some closure for the family of Madeleine and everyone else involved, then that can only be a good thing, as tragic as it may turn out to be. Talking of tragic, self-driving Uber robo-taxis set to launch in the UK, and they will be driverless. Londoners will soon be able to order an Uber minus the driver, as the taxi-hailing app brings forward the trial date of its futuristic self-driving robo-taxis. Now, the good news is, in London, they very rarely reach more than 5 miles an hour, so it'd be quite safe if it did bump into someone, because it would just give them a slight bruise, probably less of a bruise than a rubber bullet in the back of your leg, like if you happen to walk around a place in America, you know, if you're a reporter who deserves to be there. They're not Johnny Cabs, though, so don't worry. It's not a Johnny Cab out of Total Recall. But we will wait and see how long that lasts for. Brits Benidorm holiday ruined by rude locals, according to scathing review. A single British holidaymaker has left a scathing review of the Port Fiesta Park Hotel in Benidorm, claiming the lovely establishment was ruined by the numbers of loud and rude Spanish guests. It's like me going to Paris and complaining there was too many French people there. Not that I did, or I would. But yeah, you're in Spain, you're going to get Spanish people. Johnny Cab was cool, you're right. Hey. UK weather map shows what a raw chicken looks like in a microwave. Oh no, you've got the middle bit there, which is the parson's nose, legs either side. Yeah, you haven't got even spread there of cooking, have you? No, the UK weather map shows Friday the 13th to unleash huge rain bomb. Lots of people think Friday the 13th is associated with bad luck. Hi Angela. Due to a combination of superstitions, but this week it's set to bring a downpour of rain in areas across the UK. Dum 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 dum. Now, for once, no, we're not. I'm going to say we're in the red area. We're not. We get green. Now, it's supposed to be thunderstorms going on tonight. It's not even rained. So, yeah, we'll ignore that, shall we? Madeleine McCann breakthrough as masks, guns and hard drive need investigating. Forensic scientist boffin Professor Robert Green believes the discovery of a mask, guns and hard drive warrants more thorough probe into Christian Bruckner's background and past. So yeah, hopefully they can nail him, preferably with a nail gun. No one can explain why Gates of Hell has been burning non-stop for 40 years. A burning crater in Central Asia has been on fire for 40 years. It'll be the gases underground that have somehow been ignited, maybe by a thunderclap or something similar, and the gases are escaping slowly, which causes the continuation of the fires. However, as I think, well, I saw last week, but I don't want to mention it now. The fires are dimming now because the gas has probably run out. Bit like in America, if you watch Abandoned Engineering, one of the early series, there's a town in America where everyone has moved out, including they took the houses down and moved the houses, because a coal mine underneath the town caught fire and has been burning for 30 years, 40 years. But because no air can get down there, it's more smouldering than burning. Therefore, it's taking a very, very considerable length of time to burn itself out. And I imagine this is a similar kind of thing, only it's gas. I'm not a scientist, but I've sorted it. Bloke in Roman helmet on mobility scooter taunts cop during Ballymena riots. Riots in Ballymena, County Antrim, which erupted after locals took to the streets in fury over an alleged sexual assault, were interrupted by a man on a mobility scooter wearing a Roman helmet. Poundland, sold for a nominal fee, and it could be £1. A sale of discount retailer Poundland has now been confirmed to the Gordon brothers, with Chief Executive Barry Williams continuing the role he took on in March. Now, he kind of works for Gordon Brothers, but Gordon Brothers have already said they're going to close a lot of the stores down because they're not making money anymore. Child size Labubu sells for more than £100,000 at auction amid a global frenzy. The toys with ugly teeth and menacing eyes have taken the world by storm, with celebrity endorsements from Blackpink's Lisa to Kim Kardashian, and now a collectible is sold for more than 100 grand. I mean, Funko Pops, I sell shitloads of Funko Pops. I'm not a big fan of them, personally. I wouldn't have many in my house, although I've got two. Thinking about it. Got one to hand. Yeah, there's one. There's another one as well, yeah, there's another one. So I've got two Funko Pops. I've got... there we go. Oh! We're on a charger. Well, I'll save you the charger bulge for a minute. You'll get that when I show you my Funko Pops. Mm-hmm. So we've got that one, which is obviously Deadpool. Said obviously then I had to think about it. And then we got that one, which is a bit more difficult, but that is a turret off Portal. Mainly because it looks like a turret off Portal, and I love Portal and Portal 2. If you look at my playlist, you'll see I've played them both multiple times and had fun with them, because the games are very amusing. I particularly like GLaDOS's attempts at being evil, which kind of always fail and fall on deaf ears. I'm waiting for Portal 3, but it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen. They'll probably just remaster the first two, which I really hate. Anyway, trouser bulge. Now what are you thinking? Donald Trump's trouser bulge sparks health fear, speculating dementia side effect. Pardon me. Donald Trump's unusual bulge in his trousers has sparked health fears, with some speculating that the former president could be wearing a Foley catheter and suffering late-stage dementia. Dementia, not dementia. Jesus. I'm getting an early-stage dementia here, aren't I? I mean, do you think he's losing his marbles? Yeah, stupid question. And as I said earlier on the serious news, Greta Thunberg was on her way to Gaza to basically prove a point that they can beat the blockades and get nominal amount of aid into Gaza, and they were boarded in international waters, which is illegal, to be fair, by Israel. They were then given bread and drinks, which is illegal, and they were also kidnapped, as Greta Thunberg said. Now, I'm not a big fan of Greta Thunberg, it has to be said. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But for once, I kind of agreed with her sentiment. Maybe not the way she did it or anything, but I kind of agree that what's going on in Gaza is war crimes, crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, blah blah blah, deliberate famine, all that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean I support Hamas. Obviously, I don't support Hamas. Hamas are terrorists. They murdered and slaughtered people at a festival that was moved nearer the border at last minute and should have finished the day earlier than when the attack happened. But other than that, I don't see how Hamas were taunted into acting the way they did. But no, they deserve to be destroyed and wiped out, but not at the expense of innocent people and children. Certainly not by starving the whole population. All war crimes. So I kind of agree with Greta Thunberg to a degree, which is something I've never said before. And then this pops up. Thanks, T. World record. Greta Thunberg becomes the first hostage victim in history whose kidnappers' only demand is that she leaves. So they shoved her on a plane and flew her back to Paris. I don't know why they flew her to Paris. She'd be fuming. Being on a plane to Paris. Being on a plane. Good God. Can't be on a plane. She's the green woman of the world. The child who everyone loved back in the day. I'll say loved. Maybe not loved. Put up with. Maybe not even that. Anyway, that is it for the fun news. So now, it's time for the breaking news. Breaking news, dum 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 dum. Breaking news, 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 dum 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 dum. I'll have to work on that a little bit. But anyway, the breaking news. The news that sunset is setting. So there you go. Labour statement on moving to means-tested state pension payments. What? Oh dear. A plane touches down too short on a runway, but still manages to land. Martin Lewis says UK households could be entitled to a 30-year back payment. He does come out with a lot of nonsense, that guy. I'm not a big fan of him, to be fair. Honest reason more and more Brits are turning to the far right and reform. Yeah, Keir Starmer's an absolute moron. Next. Reservoir levels around Britain are falling. Southport Pier set to reopen as part of £600 billion cash injection. £600 billion to fix Southport Pier. What? How could Putin really harm the UK? Oh, this is the iPaper. They must watch my programme. Your phones, flights, trains, ambulances, and everything else, which I've already said. French police watch as migrants attempt crossing again. UK economy shrinks by 0.3% as firms hit by tax rises and Trump trade war. Yeah, Rachel Reeves, finally. She took the credit for the best 50% of the economy growing by 0.2%. But now it's shrunk by 0.3%. And that's the month that all their brilliant boosting measures from her budget actually came into force. People are losing their jobs as well. Air India confirms 241 people on board the flight AL171 crash with the British man the sole survivor. Northern Ireland riots latest. Violence is only petrol bomb away from a death, warns human rights chief. Rachel Reeves fails to rule out future tax rises as economy shrinks. Yep, you're killing us all. Well, killing the economy anyway. Iran will respond forcefully to any Israeli strike. DMob happy IFS director tears into Rachel Reeves' spending review. More tariffs from Russia. Russia from the same difference, isn't it now? Sorry. Oh. Sky News. Why the spending review is smoke and mirrors. I've been using a lot of that, smoke and mirrors. Council in Liverpool sees £312,000 loss after nearby roadworks disruption. India crash, they're now saying it's a loss of power on the plane. DWP confirms exact birth date for people to receive winter fuel payment this year. 7 medical conditions that could exempt you from paying any council tax. Nigel Farage tells Lancashire Reform, get this right, general election is in you, in a key visit. Boy and mate royal couple took his own life after troubled childhood. They're not that bad, William and Kate. Homelessness has become a scourge in Tameside. Now there's a strategy to address it. Tameside being where my mother lives and I drive to on a Tuesday. That's 3 days ago, it's not breaking news. Matalan unveils £25 million revamp plan with 30 new stores in the pipeline. UK to access asylum hotels by 2019. The plane crash survivor's brother speaks to Sky News. Millions of mobile phone customers offer better coverage at no extra cost. We're already paying for good coverage, we're not getting it. So is that it for the breaking news? I think it is. So there you go then. We've had breaking news, we've had old news, we've had news about the spending budget, we've had lots and lots and lots of news in the news programme, which has been on for 1 hour and 8 minutes, which is roughly what we seem to be averaging at the minute, about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we've had 12 likes, oh my word, that's good. 11 people watching, 10 people watching now, but that's not unusual because we are coming to the end of the broadcast. Average is going up slowly. Average has been 12 is the average that we've had people watching. Last time Wigan didn't have a Labour MP was December 1918. Stephen O'Neill, hello. Yeah, I remember it well. I'm not that old. Now there's my mother and she's 90, to be fair. Anyway, self-cut. I think it'll be sooner. I think it's not going to be until 2118 when we get the next one. No matter what happens, I think Labour have absolutely messed this up. as predicted, again, if you look at my shows I did before the election, they're all up here, then it's definitely what we predicted for Labour, which is spending money they haven't got, putting taxes up even though they're already high, lying about policies, U-turning on everything. It's what Labour do. It's what they've always done. My entire life, Labour have left the country bankrupt when they get kicked out, and then we end up with austerity again. So the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, that is it. So a huge shout out to Calder Day, Top Cat, Dream Frequency, Angela O'Kane, NE, Stephen O'Neill, VBRL, Viva Mark, John Gibb, for all of your inputs during the broadcast. It has been spectacular. It's been very, very good indeed. Thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight, actually, which is always good. So yeah, how's Silent? She's alright. She's around somewhere. Being a bit mad as always, but that's what she's like. Don't forget you can listen to this as a podcast. We've also got all the previous ones I've ever done in various playlists as well. So what I will say is thank you very much for watching. Indeed you still are. I'll be seeing you. Until next time. Bye tea.